Hello there and welcome back to JPP Japan's Perfect Pens YouTube channel for another pen review video. My name is Richard and today we will be reviewing a Namiki Yukari Royale pen. So today's pen is The Night Scene of Pavilion by Michifumi, and this pen was made in 2002. So the Night Scene of Pavilion pen shows a Japanese temple, it shows a river, and it shows mountains and beautiful pine trees with a moon at the top of the pen. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. Now this Yukari Royale is a brass cartridge converter pen with urushi and Maki-e, 15 centimeters long, a decent sized section diameter at 13 millimeters. That's quite large. There's a little bit of Maki-e on the clip, and it sports the two-toned size 20 18 karat gold Namiki nib. Now the pen has the moon, which is just visible there on the left, and these pine trees, and then the temple with the red highlighting, which is the main focal point of the pen, with a river flowing down beneath it. Now moving around to the back of the pen, there is a waterfall flowing down from a mountain composed of a group of rocks which used a lot of raised Maki-e. And there's the signature just there at the bottom of the pen. Going back round, we have some more beautifully rendered pine trees. Now this pen is made using the Shishii Togidashi Maki-e style, which is the raised Maki-e and burnished raised Maki-e combination, which creates this raised effect but also the smooth gradients between the raised areas. Now as you can see, they use a strong dark black at the top to really make the pine trees stand out. So this is quite a high contrast pen between the golds and the blacks. Often you find the black areas have more gold powder in them on some of the other pens. This time they've left it quite black. They want to make it a very stark contrast to emphasize the shapes on the pen. And there's just a little bit of gold powder at the top there to show off some clouds with the moon quite dimly rendered there at the top. So if I move the pen around, you can see it from this angle, and here the light also lets you see this raised Maki-e. So you see at the bottom the layers of the rocks and things, they really stand out. These are raised up quite high from the surface of the pen. You can see the light reflecting off those. And as we go around the back, there's this lovely pine tree over the top of the temple and another one at the top. And you can see the branches are nicely detailed on this pine, and they're much stronger than the moon is, so it shows the pine tree being forward. It's more in focus, it's more the subject of the pen, the moon is the background of the pen. Now I find the back of the pen quite interesting as well, because it's quite difficult to make this mountain with these boulders have some shape and texture and not just look like it's a single tone all the way through. So they give it these nice large rocky shapes, a lot of raised Maki-e contrast and shading to build it up and make this environment, make this scenery and this landscape. And I like that. So if I unscrew the pen here, let's take a look at this Yukari Royale nib. So here it is. This is the size 20, rendered in two-tone with the rhodium taking over the snow cap of Mount Fuji. That's the shape that it's showing you there, and it's just very nice. These are always absolutely exquisite pens. Now it's 18 karat gold. The Yukari Royales, they write smoothly, they have a wet flow. The Con 70 holds about 1 milliliter of ink, and of course the snow cap. Now being a size 20, the nib has a little bit more bounce to it than the smaller size 10 Yukari nibs, but significantly less bounce than the size 50 Emperor nib. So it's sort of a middle ground pen, but it's still nicely large. It's got a nice weight to it. It's very, very, very pleasant to hold, and they have a reputation for being some of the best writing pens there are. Now here, I'd like to show you the pen in the middle sitting next to a Yukari sized Chinkin pen on the left and an Emperor Goldfish on the right. Now the Yukari Royale is only a little bit longer than the Yukari, has a wider diameter and has a slightly longer and larger nib, but they're reasonably similar. The Emperor, on the other hand, is much larger. The section diameter is slightly larger on the Emperor. So that's where they're the closest, but if I just hold them here side by side, you can see that the section and the barrel of the Emperor are nearly as long as the entire pen of the Yukari Royale. And when we put the nibs side by side, the Emperor nib is much larger, which is why it has that extra bit of bounce, but it's also why it's harder for people to write with if their hand size doesn't match it very well. Now, if we return to looking at the detail on the pen, the back of the pen here has this waterfall flowing down the right-hand edge of the cliff face, which feeds the stream that flows underneath the temple. Now, if you have a look here, the pine branches and needles, very strong gold. The edges of the rocks, very strong gold, very intense, bright coloration. Whereas the water in the pen uses less strong effects. So there's less gold powder. It's almost using a sense of negative space to represent where the water flows between the strong lines. And here you see the stream underneath the temple pavilion, where the lines are used to show the flow of the water. Now it's going horizontally and not down from the waterfall. This is very classic Japanese landscape painting style. So that's something that you either like or you don't like. I absolutely love it. The idea being that the image starts at the bottom of the pen where it's closest to you, and everything that's further up the pen is further back. And it just brings you through multiple layers. Your eye comes through the piece starting at the bottom, moves up, and there's a whole pattern to the way your eye examines the piece, which is painstakingly constructed and entirely deliberate. It's not by accident that it looks nice. So I really like this style. It doesn't carry all the symbolism that many of the other Namikis do, but as a purely beautiful writing instrument, it is extremely nice. And for me personally, this is exactly the type of thing I go and visit when I'm in Japan. So I should mention that there has been an Emperor version of a pavilion and mountain scene made, which I've already reviewed on this channel. And that was created by Kaiusai Yoshida back in 1998, 4 years earlier. Now here it is. I've already reviewed it and I'm just posting a link to it now. But I will create a separate video to compare these two. So they're by two different artists and they've used quite different techniques to get the same level of serenity. And I love both the pens. So look out for a future video where I talk about both those pens and how they differ from each other. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I look forward to reviewing many more of these pens and seeing you next time. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.